This is TWiT.
Hold on, I'm getting a call.
Oh, yeah, you should mute that, unless it's really important.
Banana Vacations?
Oh, Banana Vacations. Who is that? Are you going somewhere? Did you ask to be called by Banana Vacations?
Oh, my God, it's a robocall.
Oh, well, okay. Well, then that explains it. I don't know how they knew that we always talk about bananas on this show, but...
Acting!
Hey.
If you out there are sick of getting robocall after robocall from unknown numbers similar to yours and everything in between, you'll be happy to hear that AT&T, Comcast, Sprint, T-Mobile, Verizon, and several other telephone companies in the U.S. have pledged to fight against those pesky dialers. I do have to note that the entire studio is groaning about that little skit we just did, so thank you all out there for listening and viewing. The agreement is actually a commitment between 51 attorneys general, because that is how you say that, and these telecom companies that, much like the film and TV industry, preempts any regulation put in place by the government. So the idea here is that, the government is likely to move on this at some point, and there are some bills that are in place right now, but just like the TV and film industry, they realized a long time ago, holy moly, we saw how they regulated broadcast, how they regulated these different things. We want to hop on this first so we can show, hey, we've got this under control, and any regulation that takes place after that can kind of be a little bit taken back. Like, we're doing the most that we can so that there's not as much concern for the government to do so.
Right.
I get radio or robocalls all the time, not always from Banana Vacations, but certainly all the time. And it's always like very close to my number, except for one a little bit different, or it's ones that look like they're from my area. And that's actually that's a very specific thing called spoofing. And so all 12 of these carriers that are involved in this with the attorneys general are going to be offering anti-robocall tools for free, which right now I am paying AT&T for an anti-robocall tool.
Right. And does it work well? I mean, obviously Banana Vacations was able to get through.
Banana Vacations got through somehow. They're really slippery. But other than that, no, they usually don't get through. And I take that back, actually. I just remembered this. I forgot. It wasn't too long ago I got an email from AT&T that said, hey, we're offering this premium, because you could get the regular one or the premium one.
Okay.
And we're offering the premium portion for free as well now. Okay. So I actually don't pay for it. So I do want to be clear about that. So AT&T has already started to roll out some of these tools. They're all going to also implement call blocking technology on their platforms. So you've got the tools locally, but then you've also got like sort of server-wide or however that works. And then put in a system that labels calls as real or spam. And we've talked about that technology known as stir shaken. And it, like I said, it's specifically going after those spoofed calls. They call from a different number, but they can mask it to make it look like it's your number.
So frustrating. So
this will label that. And the big thing here, and the reason why I think we're seeing both sides of the aisle playing ball here, is because this is incredibly expensive for the taxpayer. Because it turns out that one of the top calls that the federal government gets, they get complaints about robocalls more than almost anything.
All the time.
An estimated 1 billion robocalls. There have been 94 actions taken against these robocallers, but every one of those calls costs the taxpayer money. They are stealing people's money. They, you know what I mean, like in the different things that they figure out how to get you. And so it's not good all around. And this is the biggest step that we've seen in terms of the collaborative effort by all of these carriers. So I thought that was a pretty big deal for sure, that we are seeing all the carriers playing ball. And like I said, this is before some kind of big laws move through, hopefully, on the federal government side of things.
To support it.
Yeah,
I guess we'll see. The article did say there was no deadline for them to all get it actively in place, but quote, as soon as practical, which never leaves me feeling a whole lot of hope. But
and I think that I would feel less hopeful about it if I didn't already see that from AT&T, for example. Like I said, they really have rolled this out, and I imagine it costs AT&T and all the other carriers money too. I mean, these are billions of calls that need not take place. And then every time that somebody calls AT&T and says, I keep getting these calls, how do I stop them? That's also money. So there's, unfortunately, because we because we are who we are societally, money is kind of the driver of change there. And so fortunately, if we could say that, these robocalls cost so much money for everyone. And so companies are wanting to make a move on this. So I wasn't fond of that clause either, that it's like, as soon as it's practical for you.
Maybe someday get around to it.
Yeah.
We'll see. And there is no requirement for the tools to be free. They're encouraging it to be free, and hopefully it will be, because
so this is the thing, the law says that there's no requirement for the robocall stuff to be free, but this agreement that the carriers have done, along with those attorneys general, they say, yes, we'll offer it for free.
That's good. So, from reading into this, T-Mobile, AT&T, and Comcast can all authenticate shaken and stir between each other. I think if they're connecting to networks like Verizon and Sprint outside of that clause, they're not, that like interconnectivity isn't up and running yet. I think Sprint is expected by the end of the year. Verizon already has shaken and stir protocol in place for its own network. So if you're on Verizon, you're calling another Verizon customer, or one of those calls is coming from inside the network. It's coming from inside the network. I think we have a title. Then that would work. But if it's, from T-Mobile to Verizon, that interconnectivity is not in place yet. So definitely still a work in progress as far as that's concerned. But I love to see that they're making this a priority, because, man, so many spam calls. Like, it's not just a few, it's a lot.
And I don't get them anymore. I mean, I do get them, but I don't see them, because I have not only AT&T's blocker in place, but I use a third-party blocker as well, which has filtered out all of the nonsense, except for that one that got through for the joke.
Banana
for the lulz.
It's not a joke, it's real. Banana Vacations, or whatever it's called. That's a real thing.